Okay.
You're turning it up. You're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You can.
It's great to
Can
see
you hear us?
Yes. It's
Good.
great to see your faces.
Ditto. I feel like I saw a lot of your face at the beginning of all this because I wrote a letter for you for like almost a year. Because it was like the first one and I was so nervous. So I was like constantly on your website and constantly rereading everything that you had ever sent and listening to the interview with you over and over and over again. So even though I haven't actually seen you in a long time, it feels like I've seen a lot.
I feel pretty bad for you. That sounds terrible.
It was great. I loved it.
Well, that's awesome.
I mean,
it turned out.
I love the like nerves of disappointing you, but
no, it turned out really great. I thought it was awesome.
Thanks, buddy. They've been really fun to do. So
awesome.
I'm glad that I picked the right person to begin with. You know, that's always a good thing. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm coming in live from lunch.
Live from lunch.
Yeah.
I like it.
Otherwise, no complaints. Life is pretty good. Staying busy.
Was it a good lunch?
Yeah, I had a banh mi. It was delicious.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
that is a good lunch.
There's a place right up the street, and it's always consistently good.
That is nice. Our up the street is just more farm fields,
Yeah,
and the corn isn't even for people, so it's like not edible. Yeah, we're super excited to have you too, and to see your face as well. We were like half kind of hoping that the past lives book would be in our hands and we'd be able to do an unwrapping, but we're having some issues getting in here.
Yeah, I'm hoping that got resolved.
Double puns, right?
I walked right into that one.
You did that.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping that's
fixed.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's getting fixed.
Cool. Excellent.
So let me know if anything else happens, but hopefully soon you'll have that. Yeah, I have a copy back here to talk about later.
Sweet.
Excellent.
So yeah, we're super excited to have you on Flat Files. As you may or may not know, basically it is a very informal chat between us and a fellow artist where we share artworks either of our own or from our personal collections as just like an art scene somewhere in a time when that seems more and more challenging to do.
Yeah, I am familiar with this segment you do, and I'm very excited about it.
Sweet.
So if you are familiar, we'll have you introduce yourself.
Okay.
And who you are and what you do, and then we'll share some arts.
That sounds great. I'm Henry Gepfer. I am an artist from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I also curate and I teach. My work is focused in printmaking, but on the experimental end of that, and how print kind of intersects with performance, sculpture, photography. I think that's a pretty concise.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say like your work is very like
print and performance.
Yeah, like experimental way of looking at printmaking. It's not like just prints on a wall. Like there's interactions that like the people that see the work can have with the art, which I really like. And function and art coming together in an interesting conversation, like the blinds or the hangers. Oh my god, I'm like, what are those things called that hold clothes? But you've also been doing some like video stuff recently.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the newest YouTube video because honest to God, that picture that you posted kind of scared me a little bit. I was like debating whether I should share it as like one of the images to promote this, and then I was like, what if people are kind of nervous about what that means?
Yeah. No, it's like it stemmed from an idea that I had that I thought would be funny, so I ran with it, and it ended up being a little bit scarier than maybe I intended, but I dig it. Yeah, no, but making video has been fun. So that one, we shot that in November of last year, and it only just recently got finished up, but shot a short video during the pandemic because I just had an idea that
I'm not alone.
oh no, Aaron is very familiar with that video. Yeah, no, I just had an idea and I ran with it during pandemic. So it was a nice way to kill some time, and I had to, like a lot of people, I'm sure, have had to like figure out more video editing skills because teaching has taken on that kind of realm as well, for better or worse.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the teaching thing I think is pretty weird, but also I don't know, maybe interesting. I'm trying to be like it could be a positive thing, but I think being in a classroom is a good thing. So also, but I don't know. All my nieces just started going back to school this week, so I feel like I'm really like, oh, the school thing is a real situation.
Yeah.
But
well,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We're gonna miss talking in schools, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Like Skype is there, or Google Meets, or Zoom, or whatever now. Like, I'm hoping that as the school year rolls on, people, as they get their budgets, they will actually look for more things, and maybe there'll be more opportunities to do remote teaching.
Yeah.
At least guest lecturing.
Yeah. How are things going with your residency program with all of this?
It is completely on stop. We have no residents, haven't had anybody for
since March.
Our last resident, would have been in March, just before all of this kind of settled in, and we've kind of said that like until like a vaccine is on the table or there is like some sort of like it feels safe to go outside, we're just gonna put a pause on it and then hope that we don't go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Fingers
it's hard,
crossed.
right? Like, because we do get questions from people that maybe don't live that far, or or from communities where it's relatively safe. But we don't want to get into a situation where we're like, you're safe and you're not safe.
Yeah.
It seems like just like not a decision that we want to be making a call on, and we also don't want to be. I don't really want to just be like a full-time cleaner, which is I think ultimately what would end up happening because.
Yeah.
This, it's really kind of impossible for like surfaces to not be touched, and you've stayed with us, so the space is intimate, and it's difficult to like have. I don't want it to be just like this like very strict rule-based experience where like nobody can engage and we can't have dinners together safely or in a way that feels comfortable, and or people are having to get tests when they come here. I don't know. It just seems like. It's not how I want it to feel when people are here. I like that it feels like a little family and it's relaxed and I don't want to lose that. So it just doesn't seem like the right time.
No, definitely not the right time.
So we just keep listening to the news, which is just a pile of sadness constantly.
Yeah.
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 So these kinds of things are nice because we get to like talk about stuff we love and talk about artists that have been here that we like loved sharing space with. So that's that's a bonus, and I'm glad that we can be doing that. It's sort of like its own little residency in a way, for like an afternoon residency segment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to be positive. So like I think like a positive spin is that I think that as somebody who runs an artist business, like it is often that we put our practices on the back burner. It's always like chasing down a workshop or trying to like just make the business function. And this has like really forced us to be in a position where our art careers could be our sole financial source of income. And so we've been taking those a lot more seriously recently, and that's been good. It's been actually very good.
That's awesome.
It's just been a very big change for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be sad about the pandemic, so should we still share some artwork?
Yeah, let's do that.
Would you like to go first, or would you like us to go first?
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. Why don't you go first?
Okay.
All right, what do we got?
We got this semi-large print. So this is a print from an artist in Toronto. Her name is Alicia Nauta, or I hope that's how you say your last name, Alicia. I don't really say anybody's last names ever, and I'm realizing now that we do this that I don't actually know how to say most of our friends and past residents' last names at all, and I strongly dislike doing it. I like look up on YouTube like how to pronounce, and then I like trust that the robot that tells me how to say the last name is telling me the truth. But Alicia's work is super cool, rad. I don't know if those are like good words.
Those are words.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I am like very drawn to this aesthetic. It's like photocopied bits of books, and they're all hand collaged together. Like, when she was here, her studio was just like filled with like these like Xeroxed images, and they were all like cut out and then collaged together, and then they're translated into screens. But she does like lots of things: zines, wallpaper, like album covers. She did like a really giant, beautiful book at one point. So just like really like interesting exploration of collage. And this sort of like I don't know, like early computer kind of vibe that's happening down here comes up a lot, like this like stretched and morphed scan, and I just love it. I love collage, and I just really like this kind of 1980s feeling.
Oh yeah. It has a very like old school clip art feel to it.
Yeah.
I really dig that.
Yes.
I know. It's so good. So there's usually like some structural line work that's happening in a lot of her work. So this kind of like grid motif, and then like architectural elements with sort of like a botanical. I feel like when I look at them, most of the house or the plants feel like house plants to me. So I don't know if that's actually true. There's like usually some ferns and like broad-leafed plants. But I just like the like combination and the way that it's like structured and laid out. And this is also really lovely, like this kind of like spray painted burst that's happening in the background. Not all of the work is black and white, just this piece happens to be. Some of them have like, just to like layer on the kind of old school vibe to it, it's like these like gradient tones of like shifts from like, say, like a kind of like a weird yellow to like a dark teal, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, it just has like a, you know, I feel like if these were animated, it would have that like warpy, like early flash art on a
You talking about like the 1995 Microsoft screensaver where it's like a bubble that kind of distorts things as it bounces around the screen?
Yeah, like kind of like that. I don't know. That's what I feel when I look at this. Is like this like my like kid early computer life.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our first share.
That's awesome.
Lovely screen print. Yeah, she has like a website that has lots of different like zines and affordable prints that you can purchase. And then I was just checking out she also has a YouTube page. And I don't think it's through her, but someone else did an ASMR of like flipping through one of her zines that I maybe watched for too long this morning. And then I was like, oh, I need to like maybe get my shit together and get onto Instagram and stop watching somebody with nice nails tap and flip a page of art. I love those things.
What a better way to see some art, though.
Yeah, right? Thank you. I agree. I fully agree with that. So yeah, that's our first share.
That's awesome. So I only have books today. My first share is a book called Humor in the Abject.
Humor is spelled the American way.
We only do things the American way here. Yeah, so Humor in the Abject is a book that's from Social Malpractice Publishing. Social Malpractice was run by this dude named Sean Carney. I got onto Sean's publishing stuff because he put out some books for Jason Musson about the time that Art Thoughts was really having a moment.
I loved that moment.
Oh my
I miss
God.
it.
I just was talking about that to somebody yesterday. Like, this stuff is so insane.
It's so good. If people haven't watched Art Thoughts on YouTube,
Oh my God.
Thoughts with a Z, highly recommend checking it out. It's really good.
The Bruce Nauman episode remains like the best one.
Yeah,
It's just so good.
it is fantastic. The whole song "Black and Yellow," like I constantly have that stuck in my head
Oh my God.
because of Art Thoughts.
Yeah, because of the piece Buddy Cop.
Yeah.
I constantly, when I'm also thinking about my art, I'm like trying to like think about like, oh, you know, like what would this art be about? I often have his narrative voice in my head from the Buddy Cop episode. It's like I'm just gonna spray paint this gold and like, boom, it's gonna be elevated to this, and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Oh
Oh
man.
my gosh, so good.
Yeah.
We derailed you.
No,
but yes.
that's totally okay. Like, so that's how I found out about this person, and it's just, he's a ridiculous human being. He does performance art. He had this publishing practice, which I think he's since ceased doing, which is a bummer. But I like this one. This came out in 2015 and was the product of a class I think he was teaching at the Bruce High Quality Foundation at the time. And it has, it features people like Darcy Wilder and Chloe Wise, people who would become part of like my awareness shortly after that. And it's just a bunch of ridiculous stuff. Like, I don't know if you can.
Is that Donkey Kong?
Yeah. Like, it's so good.
So is it like a zine? Or
Yeah,
is it
it's
does
a
it
zine.
have essays in it?
There are some short essays. Darcy Wilder has a short essay called About Me, which is pretty ridiculous. There are some, so the deep thoughts spelled THOTS in the beginning. I have to give a content warning through this because they get, there's content warnings through the first two things I'm going to share. So Andrew Norman Wilson states that a thing is just a thing until you put it in your butt.
Okay. Sure.
So
I mean, I would argue that it remains still a thing, but
I think it elevates.
What?
It becomes something entirely new in that situation. But yeah, it's full of just like alternately absurd, crude, ridiculous things. And it was through this and looking more at his work, and this ended up becoming a podcast that talked, it was like he was speaking to artists that kind of navigate that boundary between art and comedy. So it was through this zine and eventually the podcast that like I found a lot of people that I ended up really liking. And that David Robbins book that was on my head in the picture that you shared yesterday actually came from reading this dude. He's now writing for Art in America. So saying and doing outlandish things doesn't preclude you from doing pretty much anything. And I think that's one of the more important lessons that I've learned from enjoying humor in the object.
I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like when you were here, we were talking a lot about like failure in life, but also failure in art, and like learning to like be comfortable with failing and seeing it as like a method towards success, or if nothing else, like learning what you don't like or what doesn't work, and that's still a success, even though it could be viewed as a failure. So I like this too as like a kind of an extension of that you don't always have to be serious to be taken seriously.
Yeah, it's a weird lesson to learn.
Yeah, it's a good lesson to learn though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I love just color and form. And a lot of the times, especially if I'm like writing a grant, I'm like, well, that's not really good enough. So like what am I actually talking about? And I'm like, well, like, I just really like color and form. So I don't know what to say in this, like, how does it impact the greater community? And you're like, they now know that they really don't like colors that look like poo. Because sometimes those are my favorite colors. That's a comment I get a lot about my paintings. So like, why this color though? Like,
Really?
the pink is nice, but this like weird green-brown color you decided to put in there, that's my favorite one.
It's the contrast. You
Don't
like the
like it.
contrast between those two colors, right? It's not just necessarily that color, it's that color in relationship to other colors.
I think my
Exactly.
comeback to that would be, would you even like the pink if it wasn't for the shit brown? Like, you have
I'll
to
use that.
have balance. It's super important.
I agree.
Yeah, you can't have the good without the bad, or you can't see the good until you see the bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you see that as bad? But anyways, next art.
Oh.
So, fun fact about this art is that this is another past resident, Marta, or I'm going to do my best with this Polish last name, Marta. She even spells it out phonetically on our website, and I'm still terrified to say it. Chudolinska. So hopefully I'm right about that. Anyways, I have such amazing memories of Marta being here working on this piece. And then I was like, when was that? 2013. It was forever ago. And it really feels like it was like a couple years. So she left a real like impression on me. And I just really love Marta's work. And I can't believe that it's been that long.
Yeah, going back through like flat files and like pulling out old work, it's really weird to be like, oh, that person was here 6 years ago, 5 years, and you're like, wow,
What?
where'd my time go?
Yeah. So this piece is a reductive lino cut, and Marta's work like spans a lot of different topics. A lot of them are like very personal. Sometimes they're about like her ancestry. Sometimes they're about mental health. This particular piece was looking at just like the power of storytelling and sharing literature with children, and that like connection and bond that you can make as a parent, just like reading to a child and imparting wisdom through books. So I love that you're sharing a bunch of books right now. So I think it's called like Light a Fire. Oh, I could be wrong about that title.
It's an AP. It has no title for us.
But there's like this kind of fire that's coming out of the parent's mouth, and then the like head of the child is also on fire, which is like a dark way to represent learning, but I love it. And it was like a pretty short edition, I think. In the end, I think she only kept about 15 in the final run. She printed a lot more than that. But yeah, we got this sweet little AP. And I was just kind of like cruising through her website this morning, and she's recently done they almost look like little diorama type prints. Like they're like, my grandma used to call it paper toll, but I don't know if that's actually what it's called, but they're like bumped out prints, so it looks like they're kind of like layered and have like depth to them.
Oh.
Piece of paper, foam core, paper, foam core, paper, foam core.
And I could be wrong about how they're made. That's just the way they looked on the website. Like they just looked like they had like physical actual dimension, which was really like interesting to see, and I liked them a lot. And they were kind of dealing more with like her grandmother and her ancestry, and I believe maybe something about like Alzheimer's or dementia. Anyways, it's gorgeous. If you go to her website, there's like a whole installation view that she has posted on there. It's really good.
That sounds awesome. It sounds like you're describing tunnel books. It's like,
tunnel books?
What's that? I don't know.
I don't know.
That's how I've always referred to them, but they're like it almost looks like an accordion from the side, but there's a hole in the front, and you see different levels of or different layers as it moves back in space. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, they're really, really nice. And there's like one, I don't know if it just is the way that the gallery shot the picture, or she shot the picture in the gallery, because I think it's like the doors have been appliqued with something, and then you're like looking into a room, but it's cropped in such a way that it almost looks like it's a cupboard. I think it's an actual room that you go into and there's like more gallery, but you know when like you look at an image and it crops it in such a way that you're like, oh, I can't judge the scale. There's no person here to give me like an idea of like, are these prints very small and they're in a little cupboard, or are they large and they're in an actual room? So I love when stuff like that happens, unless we're looking at an application and then I'm like, I don't understand scale, do a better job.
So that's our second share.
Awesome.
What do you got for us?
I have a copy of True Love by Chloe Perkis.
Oh, screen print?
Yeah, so this is a screen printed zine by the artist Chloe Perkis. Chloe, I think, is based in Chicago, and this was printed by Hoofprint. So this is a different take on love, featuring transgender cherubs, plenty of farts, barf, and some sexual activity that maybe we just won't get into today. But it's really beautifully done, and it's an alternative love story.
Love it.
And I dig it.
Is the whole thing screen printed?
The whole thing is screen printed.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay.
And Chloe works a lot in comics, and it has done a couple things with Hoofprint. But they were featured in the 2018 Best Comics of the Year collection. So really cool stuff. I don't remember what book fair I bought this at, but it's a really beautiful volume, screen printed front to back.
Can I see the backside? Oh,
man.
nice.
Great graphics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like this drawing style. So it's just one person that's doing. Are they also screen printing, or is it screen printed by a different company, and then the illustrator is Chloe?
No, the illustrator is Chloe. It's being screen printed by Hoofprint Printing.
Okay, but they don't. It's not like
No, I don't think,
one person under a studio name.
I don't think
Okay,
so.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's my second share. Chloe has plenty of other work out as well, but as I was going through my flat file, this is one that kind of stopped me in my tracks. So
I love it. I feel like I'm seeing so many more zines by doing this than like.
I feel like zines are a bigger thing in America than they are here. Like there is like a bit of a zine culture, but like the level that we see coming out of America is much, much higher than what's here.
zines are awesome.
I mean, Rukyung had some really great zines, though.
That's true.
Yeah. I think that like, we have done a couple zine fairs and some, like, small book arts fairs, which usually end up being, like, zine makers, but also a lot of printmakers, because of the multiples. And there's always, like, such an enormous amount of, like, sharing and trading that happens at those spaces. And we were actually thinking about this when we were like, okay, we're going to run out of artwork soon. And the opportunity for trading when there isn't any place to get together. Like, it feels weird to be like, do you want to trade over the internet? And, like, I'll ship you a thing and you ship me a thing. It's not as, like, organic and community feeling as it is when you're, like, at one of these events. Especially because, like, some of the ones we've gone to are, like, really small, like, you know, in the back of a bar or something, and the work that's being shown at these bars is, like, amazing, like that scene that you were just showing. You're like, so weird that we're all just hanging out here on folded tables in, like, a dark space with a sticky floor, and there's just, like, all this great art, like, strewn all over the place. I mean, I hope all of that comes back, because I love
like
it.
the sticky floor? I do not want the sticky floor to come.
How will you know you appreciate non-sticky floors if you don't have to put this on something gross? No, I also like the intimacy of trading somebody in person too, because it puts me on the spot. Like, if somebody sent me an email and was like, hey, want to trade? I would absolutely be into that, but then I would sit on the box that I was supposed to send out for like a month. I just, getting me to follow through with things is best when it's like just right on the spot. Otherwise, I'm not flaky. I'm just terribly forgetful.
Well, and going to a post office is not really fun.
Not right now.
No, it's really
No.
not. So, but
Yeah.
zines, I just love them. Okay, so our third share is like a memento from an experience. So this isn't like my favorite art. It's not bad art; it's still really good. But the like entirety of where it came from
is the important
is
part.
even more. That's called like.
Yeah.
So this is like a little flag, it doesn't have like a sticker or anything, but it's like a little flag, and it was from an SC, it's like a Southern Graphics conference from, oh my gosh, who knows when, because apparently I'm not great with time.
So
But
it was.
it was in New Orleans, so it was a long time ago. And it's a Wolfbat Studios print. And it was part of like maybe one of the like last little events that they put on in conjunction with that conference. And they had basically like asked a bunch of artists to come together to create pieces that were going to go on these little boxcars. I don't know if you were at that event. So they had all these different little boxcars that basically made up like a train. They were quite large. I shouldn't call them little. They were like, humans could get inside of them. And they were collaged or painted or whatever somebody wanted to do, the exterior of these boxes. So Josh Dannon did one, which is how I like knew that it was happening. And then during one of the evenings, everybody that worked on one of these little carts pushed it down the road in like a little convoy kind of train looking fashion. It didn't stay together as a train, unfortunately. The wheels weren't super secure, and some of them were like falling apart, but the whole concept of it was really fun. It was like kind of like an art train parade, and that's something that I really like love about Wolfbat Studios is like taking, like we were talking about earlier, like taking print and trying to like push the material to do something more, something bigger.
Our former professor Otis, I don't know if he coined this, but for me, it was the first time that I heard it. Printstallation. So prints and installation, we always wanted to like push the boundaries of like how can you make print come from 2 dimensions into 3 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that concept.
Yeah. And I think Wolfbat does like such an interesting job of doing that. So it's mostly woodcut, that a Dennis who is like, I guess, the person, I don't know if he's like alone in running like the studios. He works collaboratively, it seems like, with a lot of different people. But this imagery seems predominantly his. And yeah, if you like look them up, like it's a lot of like, sometimes it's creating like full sort of costume heads of this like wolf design, or these like 3-dimensional prints that kind of come out of the wall, or creating something that is about like bringing the public and the art together, which our friend Krista Dalby here in the county does a lot. And I really like love that experience of like taking like art and community and having them join in a place that feels more like a festival than like an art show. And that was really what this experience felt like to me. It was like this parade and this like celebration of like being together and being creative, and then making the community really excited and present in that experience as well. So yeah, I really like what Wolfbat Studios does, and the way that it like unites art with the people in a way that I think is really fun and playful, but still like really well executed and like gorgeous, well crafted work.
Yeah, friends of mine have told me stories about a similar event that they did in Philly when SGCI was in Philadelphia. Wolfbat put on
Was that the pirate ship one?
I think so. I was there that year, but I missed it. I missed out on the pirate
that
ship.
one got a little out of hand.
I think it got lit on fire.
I think it did too. some people got in some trouble for that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's a bummer.
Because I think there's like fireworks and stuff, and maybe there wasn't like a lot of like city permission. Because I don't think there was any city permission in New Orleans. Like I don't think that we had permission to make a parade. But New Orleans is a little more chill about stuff like that happening. Or at least that was the like experience that I had. Like nobody seemed to care that like traffic was stopped and like these carts were sort of falling apart in the street, and you know everybody was just like cheering and making a lot of noise, and yeah, that it all seemed just like just another night. So who cares? But I don't think Philly had the same relaxed approach to whatever was presented.
Yeah, that sounds free-spirited in a way that Pennsylvania is not. We very uptight in this state.
I've only had a few experiences in Pennsylvania, and they've been lovely. One time we got trapped in a snowstorm for multiple days.
That's how.
Like literally, like I think it was like 2.5 days when we drove down to the Atlanta selling graphics.
Oh,
we got
yeah.
trapped in a snowstorm. That's my sum total of Pennsylvania.
Can't confirm.
Yeah. Clara and I were in Erie during that. We left.
Oh yeah.
We left at midnight. I think we left at Monday at midnight, so we could miss the storm. So we didn't end up with the same situation. Driving all night
We
sucked,
tried.
but
Yeah, we tried. We heard about the storm coming in. We were like, oh, we were planning on leaving Monday morning, and so this was Sunday morning, and we were talking to Chris's mom, and she's like, "There's gonna be a storm." We're like, "It's a storm. We're from Ontario. Like, it's gonna be cool. We'll just drive out of it." And we decided to like pack our bags and like hit the road that day instead. And I think it was like late Wednesday when we arrived in Atlanta.
Yeah. But we did, because we decided to leave early, the route that we would have went, a like transport truck that had a container of some kind of hazardous material ended up tipping over and dumping the material all over the place, and they ended up having to set up these tents with people in hazmat suits checking all of the people in the cars that were around this crash site to make sure that they
Jeez.
weren't affected by whatever got spilled out of this transport truck. So we got trapped in a hotel with a pool, and they fed us food, and that was substantially better than getting trapped on a highway being tested for unknown substance.
that sounds awesome. The
It was-
hotel.
Yeah.
The hotel sounds
The
awesome.
hotel was great. Yeah, it was perfect. It worked out really well. But, yeah. Pennsylvania. It also has hills and a lot of green space.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hills and green space. So my last share for the day is a book called Past Lives.
So shiny.
It is. It does the thing.
That was a great finish to it.
Love it.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So I was able to curate this through my job at Risolve Studios. Risolve donated all of the printing, and then Halligan's donated some of the consumables for the machines. It is very beautiful. It features a list of 36 artists, including Kyle, which I was
Thanks.
very excited to be able to include your work in this.
I'm very excited to see this book, by the way.
And yeah, it's an experimental use of Riso and ComColor inkjet. So we'll just do a quick
Oh,
kind of flip through.
It's got a-
Oh,
combination.
how do I? Okay.
I know it's awkward with the reversing situation. Ooh,
Man, you
go back to
printed
that
so
one.
many colors for this book.
Yeah. Which one are we going back to?
It had like, okay, one more. Sorry, another one. Oh, I like that one though.
This one?
Yeah, the one that's chaos. Is that
Yeah.
the one you want? The one that's text and chaos?
That, I like that.
Yeah, this is by Josh Gropera. Josh is an artist and activist out of Philadelphia.
Sweet.
So Josh's work is documenting instances of Black and people of color resisting the state, and then state backlash through time, and this idea that you can't kill resistance because resistance will just grow back.
Oh, that's like a really nice thought. I like that.
Yeah, it's really...
And
sorry, go ahead.
No.
And I really like this idea of using the like video game hearts as this kind of idea of respawn.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Ryan,
very
I'm
nice.
glad you have a book. And I'm also glad that you love it. So yeah,
This is also nice.
This is artists from all across the United States working in a variety of mediums. For some folks, visual art isn't even their first. Oh, and this is by Kyle.
That's nice.
Yeah. For some folks, visual art isn't necessarily their first medium. I have some folks that are working in comedy.
What is this? A bowling ball on a couch in the sky?
I don't know what kind of ball it is, but this is by Ella Weber. Ella Weber is out of the Midwest. If you look at her website, she has all of these works where she's using like ham as a mask, and then taking photos of it. It's just phenomenal stuff.
Like I'm picturing like a slice of ham with like 2 holes cut out.
Yeah.
Just kind of draped on the face.
Yes.
Oh,
It
this
is exactly
really
that.
nice too.
This is by a graphic designer named Bryce Weimer.
That name sounds familiar.
Bryce is a graphic designer. We've done printing for Bryce through Risolve as well. Really great stuff.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, and then this is the last one in the book. This is by Ayman Ye. So Ayman is an artist out of Pittsburgh who makes paper sculptures and then deconstructs them like this. At least for a print like this, it's deconstructed so that you can participate as well.
That's awesome.
But I just saw a show of hers in Philadelphia back before everything went to hell, and it's just like mind-bending because there are objects existing in space that are crafted out of paper, but they look so unbelievable. In the corner of the classroom,
Oh no, frozen.
or I'm sorry, in the corner of the gallery was there was like a metal folding chair that was made entirely of paper, but it was made so convincingly that it became a question of like, is this for an attendant to sit in, or like, if I sit in this, is it? So yeah, it's just really, really great stuff.
That's awesome. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Now I want to see that. We had someone here that was making, she was making sculptures that, so it would be like a box full of like packing peanuts, but all the packing peanuts were actually just, she had taken casts of packing peanuts and then had like made the packing peanuts in like, usually like a heavier material, like a cement or something, but she had like perfectly color matched the packing peanut color in the different material and then like assembled it together in a box so that it still looked light, like a packing peanut box, but then if you actually like...
But the weight was
changed. But the weight was completely changed.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and like she was doing it with like spray foam and just like strange kind of like everyday construction or packaging materials, but then just like changing what they were actually made with. I remember showing her work to, I think, Rebecca, and it reminded her of another artist who I can't remember the name of, who was doing these installations. So it looked like construction workers had been in the gallery space and had been like working on like painting something, and say they'd like left a paint can on the ground and like a ring of paint, but she had actually like carved out of the gallery floor like the shape of a ring of paint and then filled it in with like actual pearl or gold or like some like very expensive material. So it just looked like you'd walk into a space that looked like it was kind of under construction or being worked on, like it was gross looking and not appealing at all. But then if you looked closely at all the little bits of messiness, it was actually like these really perfectly crafted, expensive bits of material.
Weird.
It's like,
I'm sorry.
yes. It's so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like that theme of like the elevation of mundane things into like these loftier thing. Like that concept of like the chair that's like actually made out of paper and it's like an art sculpture, but it's so convincing that it feels like a chair. I really enjoy those kinds of works.
Well, I think they really ask you to like look at your surroundings and pay attention, which I think is often what artists are trying to do. They're like, hey, just pay a little more attention and like appreciate things that are around you and like ask questions about what you're seeing and don't take everything at face value. And I think those works do such a good job at like driving that message home. Yeah.
Yeah, just the sheer amount of time you'd have to look at an object like that to be able to render it so convincingly is like, that's more time than I've ever spent looking at a chair like that.
No, that's so true.
Yeah, just really wonderful stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. What was the experience like, kind of reaching out to all 36 people and then having them interpret the idea of past lives and collecting it all and assembling it into a publication? Have you done something like that before?
I've curated before, but never anything with this much, or this many tiny moving parts. The more people you bring into a project, the more can go wrong, but I'm really happy to say that it was just a really great experience all around.
That's awesome.
I mean, I have everybody that's included in the book I hold in very high regard, so I didn't really have any kind of qualms trusting that they would interpret the theme in a way that would be exciting. And everybody came through. So it was a really good experience, honestly.
That's great. That's super great. And did you design the like front cover?
No, I didn't. That's by Lindsay Burke. So
I really love that.
Lindsay is one of the two managing partners of Risolve. And Lindsay has a graphic design degree. She does a lot of the computer and design setup, file setup for us, and a lot of design work for publications that come out of Risolve. And
I was checking out the website. The work that's coming out of that shop is so good.
Yeah, they've been. I've been working for them for the last year, and it's been a wonderful experience. Like seeing Riso publications before I started working here, and then like looking at the stuff that they were making was super intimidating when I first started, because it's like, there's no way I'm going to be able to make shit that looks like this. Like you're on a whole other level. But yeah, they've been really great about onboarding me and helping me get up to speed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just kind of continually in awe.
That's a nice place to be at a job, though.
Yeah, it is a relief, honestly. It's a great place to work.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would highly recommend people check out the different publications that are coming out of Risolve, because
we can get to that afterwards.
Yeah, we totally can, because it's just such good.
The zines
work.
are like fantastic. Like some of the not only like just Riso is a really interesting medium, but like they are legitimately very well designed. Like there is quite a few books now that like after like hunting through the Risolve website, like I've recognized where some imagery is coming from. Like I have folders of shit that I'm like, I like this, and I've just stolen it from the internet. I'm like, oh, this came out of Risolve. Neat. Such as like the obituary zine. Like I definitely have like a little folder. It's like a little black and gold printed zine, and like I really love that imagery. And like, so when Jenna showed that one the other day,
one of our past flat files with Jenna, because she showed a publication that was printed at Risolve.
Oh yeah.
And why am I forgetting what the artist name is? I can't remember, but it was like obituaries to like dead animals.
Oh yeah.
But I can't remember the artist's name. I think it has like a rabbit on the front that has like gold eyes.
Yep, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on the artist's name as well, but they're making some really, really beautifully crafted stuff that's like alternately sad and a little bit upsetting.
Yeah.
So that stuff is always a trip. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of what you've been showing, though, which has mostly been like happy and funny.
Yeah.
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 So it's good to have, again, this episode is about contrast.
You gotta love
I
balance.
guess so.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. And I love these books, and I'm excited to share them where the text is the right direction.
Yes.
So that we can actually read what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love zines.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Henry, it's so good to see you, buddy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's keep in touch.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye, pals. You
Bye,
too.
friend.
Thanks for hanging out with us, everyone.